Hi friends, my name is Celine, and as a corporate office girly for the past 8 years, I feel well qualified to give you advice on what we're really out here wearing to the office and what types of clothes will actually work for you. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my guiding principles for dressing for work, a list of all the clothes that I think are essential that everyone should have, my brand recommendations, some really great brands, some hit or miss, and some brands that I actually don't recommend. So if you're interested, keep watching. If you are looking for advice on what to wear to work or even what to wear to your first office job, there are so many influencers out there claiming to have the answer. When I first started working corporate, many years ago at this point, I was influenced to buy a lot of things, and over the years, I realized that a lot of these influencers don't even work in an office or have never worked in an office, or they work in more creative environments where they can dress trendier. And these outfit recommendations don't really translate to the regular corporate 9-to-5 type vibe. And living that kind of lifestyle, going to the office day in and day out, the priority should be feeling comfortable, feeling capable, and feeling confident over maybe being a fashionista and trying to pull looks. The important thing to remember is that in corporate, no one needs to remember what you wear. You just need to present clean and appropriate. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is the quality of work you do and the way you make people feel. You might be worried that you're not living your best life if you don't show up to work like it's the devil wears Prada, but you can still look polished and put together by following these tips I'm about to share with you. That being said, because everyone has different styles and different preferences, I'm going to be focusing more on the guiding principles that will help you feel comfortable and polished no matter what clothes you end up choosing for your wardrobe foundation. I will also list the categories of clothing that you're going to need. We're going to talk undergarments, undershirts, blouses, sweaters, pants, skirts, you name it. We're going to talk footwear, we're going to talk jewelry. And finally, I will go over brands that I have thorough experience with and recommend that won't break the bank. A bit of backstory, I started working in an office environment when I was 18. Since I was so young, I truly had no idea how to dress for work. I would spend all my money I made from each paycheck buying low quality clothes from Forever 21 and Zara, wearing the same clothes that I would also wear in my personal life. And what I found was that I would end up feeling a little uncomfortable and a little out of place a lot of the time. And that leads me to my guiding principles of dressing for work. Principle number 1, try not to mix your personal and professional clothing. Your crop tops, your baggy jeans, your baggy sweaters, your midi skirts that also have a slit in them, your edgy heels, your bodycon styles. These types of clothes don't really make sense in an office environment. And trust me, I have made all of these faux pas. I will say though that if you tend to have a workwear vibe style, then maybe that's the exception to this rule, because then the sweaters, the trousers, the ballet flats, those might transfer well to work. Speaking of oversized clothes, it's really important that all your work clothing fits you well. I would highly recommend going to a tailor if any of the clothes you currently have or buy in the future are too big or too long. It makes a world of difference when your clothes actually fit right. I have to say that tailoring pants is essential for me. Baggy pants just make me look shorter and frumpy because I don't have a lot of height to play it off. I need to have my pants ankle length, maybe slightly below, and that's what works for me. So find out what works for you. Go to a local tailor, maybe pick a pair of pants that you're not super invested in just to make sure they're a good tailor, and see how a couple inches hemmed up transforms your work look. That leads me to principle number 3, proportions. If you have wider leg pants, then I would recommend that you wear a well-fitted top. And likewise, if you have an oversized sweater, I would recommend going for a slimmer pant versus a straight leg pant. Number 4, quality fabrics are key. Try to go for natural fibers like cotton, cashmere, wool, silk, with a bit of a caveat. I would not recommend going for cashmere, wool, or silk if you are not ready to maintain. A lot of these items require dry cleaning, unfortunately, but these are good investments for the long run, and they will last you a lot longer and look much better than polyester or nylon. They're also more breathable. I would recommend you to try on a sweater that's made of artificial fibers and feel how stuffy it gets when you're walking around. If you want something foolproof and easy and probably less expensive, I love cotton. I think cotton is the way to go. My only advice with cotton is to never wash it on warm or put it in the dryer. It will 100% shrink. So unless that's the outcome you want, I would recommend hang drying your cotton whenever and wherever possible. Wear what actually works for you. If you're looking around for advice, people are gonna tell you this and that, but only you know what clothes work for you. For example, my own work style very rarely, if ever, includes blazers. I don't wear blazers because they don't really look good on me and my frame. And I cannot tell you how many times I tried to make blazers work for me because I was influenced to believe that blazers are the workwear essential. And to be honest, I would have saved a lot of money and a lot of uncomfortable days if I had just accepted that those things don't really work for me. So the key takeaway is, even if something should be a good thing to wear for work, in theory, if it doesn't look quite right, if it doesn't make you feel good, just don't wear it and don't get those clothes in the future. Moving on to part 2. What clothes do you need? Before I start listing off all the clothes you're gonna need, I just wanna say that there is room to address the levels of formality based on the vibe at your workplace. I would say if you're just starting out in a new company, try to go more polished and basic, maybe slightly more formal than you normally would, and then take a few weeks to feel out the vibe, look at the patterns, see how everyone dresses, and then adjust your style from there. Because unfortunately, in the workplace, you kind of want to fit in and not stand out, fashion-wise. So if you work somewhere a little more formal, you can swap out like cotton tops for more of a blouse. You can go from chinos to tailored pants. You can change your flats to heels, things like that. What you will need, number 1, you will need quality, comfortable, useful undergarments. Something that will cover your cheeks and preferably seamless. For undergarments, I like to just get either nude color or black. I need it to be nude if I'm wearing lighter colors, and I need it to be black if I'm wearing darker colors. For this purpose, I highly recommend Calvin Klein or Uniqlo. When I was young and first starting to make big girl money, I was so excited to buy beautiful undergarments that were lacy and thongs and push-up bras. And now you cannot catch me dead showing up to work with those undergarments. It is too uncomfortable, seams show through your clothes, and it's just not worth it. Number 2, you will need pants. Personally, my workplace is a little bit more on the casual side of business casual, so I really love a chino. They're kind of like a cotton pant that usually has a straight leg, but you can never go wrong with a straight leg trouser. I also like work pants, and if you don't know what I mean by work pants, I'm gonna show it on the screen, but basically it's kind of the more like cotton spandex blend of pant that's thick and on the stretchier side. If your office has casual Friday or is more casual in general, you could also wear jeans to the office. For this purpose, I tend to recommend Madewell jeans because their jeans are quality with classic washes, and they tend to have a little more stretch to them, so if you're sitting at the desk for 8 hours, it's still going to be comfortable. With all of these different types of pants, I recommend sticking with classic colors. Gray, olive green, navy blue. I think these are the 3 main colors for work pants that I actually recommend. And on the darker side, so not necessarily a lighter gray, although that works too. The reason why I say I prefer dark colors is because seams show less. If you spill something on your pants, it's less likely to show. If you have a little that time of the month accident, it's less likely to show. And also wrinkles are less likely to show, so I feel like it's just a win-win-win with the dark pants. You will need tanks and tees. And by tees, I mean short sleeve and long sleeve tees, depending on the weather. I would say tank tops and t-shirts are an extremely necessary piece of a workwear wardrobe. You gotta layer because you never know what temp the AC in the office is gonna be that day. So having a tank underneath, having a t-shirt underneath, at least you could unbutton your cardi or take off your sweater to still be comfortable. For tees and tanks, try not to go too cropped or too boxy. A lot of times you're gonna wanna tuck these pieces into your pants, and so they need to be long enough to do that and fitted enough to your body so that you're not like bunching a bunch of fabric into your pants when you wear it under a sweater or a cardi. I recommend getting white. I think white is classic. It always looks clean, it goes with everything, and you don't really need to think about it. Along with that, for the tanks and tees, and just shirts and blouses in general, you need to try to make sure that the fabric is actually thick enough to cover your undergarments. I used to make this mistake all the time. I would buy clothes because I thought they would look cute, and then they would be like kind of see-through, and it was just really inconvenient. So whatever workwear you buy, try to make sure that it's a thicker fabric because that will make you feel more comfortable and more covered. For this purpose, I recommend classic brands like Uniqlo, COS, Everlane, Calvin Klein. In addition, like I mentioned before, try to go for cotton as much as possible. You will need cardigans, sweaters, and/or blazers. For me, cardigans and sweaters are some of my favorite parts of my workwear wardrobe, and that's because they are where I get to express myself the most. They are also soft and so comfortable, so I'm just a sweater girl in general. Again, try your best to get cardigans, sweaters, and blazers with lining that is made of natural fibers so that you can feel warm and comfortable and not too stuffy throughout the day. For sweaters, I would say to avoid sweaters that are too boxy or too puffy. I know a lot of sweaters, especially trendy sweaters, can get into that territory. Just try to avoid the frump. But I know that the frumpiness gets us all sometimes, and maybe you just want to be comfortable. I respect it. You will need, and this is so important, you will need comfortable, quality shoes. Shoes are an area that I don't really think you can compromise on too much. Try not to wear things that will give you blisters, that don't fit quite right, that don't breathe, because durability and comfort are the name of the game for shoes that you wear to work. To start off with, I would recommend getting a nice pair of flats. Rothy's I think are great because normally flats can feel kind of stuffy and give you blisters, and Rothy's breathes and bends and you can throw them in the washer. They are a little pricier, but everyone at my job wears Rothy's for a reason. Not fun. I would also recommend getting a classic low heel. I think it's nice also to maybe have a kitten heel sometimes or a mule, depending on the vibes. I wear black mules during the summer all the time. For workplaces that are more business casual or workplaces that have casual Fridays, you cannot go wrong with a clean white sneaker. They just look nice with anything. You might need an ankle boot for the winter time when it gets a little colder. Just a really simple ankle boot. Try to get no more than 2.5-inch heel. Keep it comfortable. And please, everybody, wear socks with your flats. I know, it does not look as cute when you're wearing those little weird like no-show socks in your flats, but flats just get so gross. For your sense of smell, for your overall comfort, for your blisters, just wear socks inside all of your shoes at work, okay? Okay. If the people at your office dress more on the professional side, you might need some more formal workwear blouses. I think for those, you know the drill. Natural fibers, I would say classic silhouettes. Try not to get anything too flowy, too ruffly, too much décolletage, you know what I mean? Try to keep it classic, and if you're wearing a tank tunic style top, try to make sure the straps aren't too thin because I feel like that can get kind of dicey. With blouses as well, you can experiment a little more with color, but again, I would recommend colors that you wouldn't mind wearing every day because you need to try for more classic to you styles and colors that you would go to again and again. The next type of clothes I'm going to talk about are a little bit more optional, but for me, since I'm a little more girly, skirts and dresses are some of my go-tos for the office. I know they're not for everyone, but a modest dress in a classic silhouette in black or charcoal gray, it's just gonna be the easiest work outfit that you'll ever wear. And I would say that a midi to full-length skirt with a t-shirt and a cardigan is the second easiest outfit you'll ever wear. Personally, I highly recommend finding a few modest dresses and a couple midi skirts to just round out your workwear foundation. I wouldn't necessarily recommend the type of silk slip skirts that are popular these days. While they do look really nice, I think they're a little more dressy and flashy than you would need in an office. I got this floral midi skirt from Abercrombie and I think it works great. You will need more substantial jackets besides, cardigans and blazers. In the event that the weather isn't that great, I recommend having a cotton trench coat or a wool coat or a raincoat or all three depending on where you live. And try to get these in more classic silhouettes. Try to make sure they're not too long, try to make sure they're not too baggy. But I understand if sometimes it's like too baggy or big because if you're gonna wear like a winter puffer, it's just gonna be big no matter what. Last but not least, and this might also be controversial, you need a backpack, okay? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this work purse situation, okay? Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, you think it's classy, but your bag is gonna get excuse my strong language, I feel very strongly about this. I myself used to have the Longchamp pliage bag and those other types of work totes and purses. Trust me, I get it. They're cute. I was making big girl money. I was like, I'm gonna look classy with my Longchamp pliage tote. And I did, but it was just not comfortable and not practical. There are like no compartments and I bring like 50 doodads to work a day. I need pockets, I need organization, I need ergonomic support, I need laptop padding. And like, what is the Longchamp tote other than just like a nylon sack? No shade, I still like it in my casual outside of the office outfits. For your work backpack, try to get a more professional looking one or a techie looking one. You know what I mean. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but like, don't show up to work in your like JanSport from high school or college. Also, I know you may just be starting out in the world as an adult, proud of you, or you might just be a corporate girly trying to make it through these tough economic times. Also proud of you. So all these things I'm recommending here does not have to break the bank. You don't have to get all of these things all at once. You can build over time. Just get the essentials first. Here are a list of brands that I recommend or half recommend that have pretty good quality clothes and pretty good sales pretty often. Uniqlo is the place to go for basics. It is affordable, it is quality, I cannot recommend enough. I like their smart ankle pants, I like their tanks, I like their tees. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a boxy fit though, so just make sure it's more on the fitted side, whatever you get. Calvin Klein, another really great brand that I feel like is underrated, but our Lord and Savior Jungkook is bringing back. They have a ton of con basics, it's all quality, they have great underwear, they have great tank tops, they have good tees, they have good workwear basics, and they have pretty crazy sales a lot of the time. So I think you can't really go wrong with Calvin Klein other than, and pro tip, the pants are like weirdly long. So like I said earlier, you're gonna have to tailor if you're a short girl. Another brand that I like to wear to work is Banana Republic. I got my favorite pair of chinos from there. I think they have great basics, so definitely check that out. There's also Gap, which is like the sister company. They have good basics as well. And sales, of course, they have sales all the time. And finally, for the very accessible, affordable options, we have Express. I don't hear a ton of people recommending Express, but if you're looking for that work pant vibe or that work blazer, I really like Express. Their quality is not like insane, but the cuts of their clothing is really good and they offer petite sizes. It's so nice to not have to tailor. On the slightly higher end, I recently discovered COS, C-O-S, and it is like the higher end, better quality version of H&M. Another brand that's slightly on the higher end that I do recommend is Cezanne. One of my favorite cotton cardigans is from them. I think it's worth investing in a couple cardigans and sweaters because I think that's where they really shine. I've gotten a few things from Theory Outlet and I really love Theory, but usually it's like really expensive. So whenever I find like a sale on their outlet site, I pick up a couple good pieces. I have these wool pants from them that I got for like $100, which is really good for wool trousers. I wear them whenever I have something more formal going on and they just do the trick. And for shoes, like I said, I think you need a pair of Rothy's. I think it's worth the price. I think it's like $90, which is a lot for a pair of flats. But these are the most comfortable flats you're gonna own. They don't get stinky, you can machine wash them, and they're not gonna give you blisters, which is the most important thing of all. For hit and miss brands, I'm gonna go with Everlane. When I first discovered Everlane, I thought it was like the holy grail, the solution to all my workwear problems, but I found myself buying a bunch of pieces from them and then not wearing it. So I'm gonna recommend some very specific things from Everlane. I think that their sweaters are good, and I think that their Pima cotton tank tops are good. And that's it. Everything else I cannot attest to, and sometimes they have kind of wonky silhouettes and fabrics. I went hard on their silk collection, but I don't know. I don't think silk is the greatest, even though it's a natural fiber. So use caution with the silk, and you have to dry clean it. Another hit or miss is Abercrombie. I know that they're trying to kind of be like Aritzia, and they do have some good pieces, but I notice that the quality is not there. I find that the silhouettes are a little too trendy because they are fast fashion, right? So they kind of have like the cropped look, the weird colors. I think if you see something really classic on Abercrombie, it's probably good. And they have sales really often, but just be careful. Another hit or miss is Madewell. They do have some gems like the cashmere sweater. The jeans that they have, they're good quality. They have some stretch to them, so they're comfortable for the office. I will say though that a lot of their clothes are trendy. They're also kind of like turning over styles all the time. So just try to pay attention to look for quality fabrics and more classic pieces. I'll also go over a couple brands that are commonly recommended, but that I absolutely do not recommend. A definite no is Zara. I used to be a Zara girl. They do have good work styles. You know, it did get me through my first and second jobs, but 99% of the time, the fabrics they use are synthetic. It's not comfortable. It does not look good after a few washes. A lot of the Zara clothes that I got eventually had holes in them. So I don't recommend Zara. This one is gonna be controversial as well. I do not recommend Aritzia. I had an Aritzia phase just like the rest of us, but after buying a bunch of Aritzia, I realized that a lot of the clothes are just so expensive, but they're not even that good of a quality. And the pieces that are supposed to be classic, timeless, basic, for some reason I find myself just not reaching for, just not wearing anymore. And I think it's because even though they're trying to do like classic chic pieces, there is just an element of a little too much trend. Whether the top is a little too tight, the knit is a little bit too statement, too cropped. I don't know what it is, but I just find that Aritzia is not as classic as it makes itself out to be. I have donated so many clothes that I bought at Aritzia like 2-3 years ago, and I think that speaks to the longevity of those pieces, whether it be the style or the quality. So those are my brand recommendations and de-influencing recommendations. I do think it's reasonable to invest in some higher end pieces if they will last and if you will wear them a lot. These pants, these sweaters, these dresses, they're gonna be workhorses for you. You are gonna need to wear them every week all year. So they need to be sturdy, well-made, quality. Like I said, you don't have to get all of these things at once. I would recommend starting out with the pieces that you think are most necessary and then just coming up with 5 interchangeable outfits that you can use for a whole week at work. If you made it this far, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I have so much more to say about work because I spend most of my time working, so I'm thinking about making a video about how I do my work makeup, which is super fast. I'm thinking about doing like a big sister advice video about what to do when you make a mistake at work. So if you're interested in those kind of videos, let me know in the comments and I will see you next time.